Yes, good morning. If you are just joining us, this is Midweek Connect on NTA Benin. And of course, we come here every Wednesday to discuss topical issues in the society. And of course, there's a trending issue right now in the Nigerian society. And you know that in 2023, there was an investigation that was carried down concerning one of the ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on certificate forgery. And the news that we have presently now is that the person concerned that was being alleged to have faked or forged his certificate, that's the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, has formally resigned from office. And so in this week's edition of Midweek Connect, we will be looking at certificate saga in Nigeria. And of course, we do bring in guests here to really throw light on what we need to talk about. And so in the studio right now, we have at my immediate right here, we have a legal practitioner. Of course, he's also a public affairs analyst, Andrew Bello.
Good morning, viewers at home.
Thank you so much for coming. Yes, sitting next to him is, of course, you know, we are having a blend here, drawing from the tertiary institution, and also we have legal practitioners. Next to him is from the university, of Department, Advertising, Department of Mass Communication, and equally speaks to public opinion views, equally gives his opinion, a commentator on social and contemporary issues. I'm talking about Sunday Kerry.
A very good morning to you, everybody out there.
Thank you so much. And of course, next to him is an Islamic scholar, and of course, he's also from the legal background. I'm talking about Asunuji Nuruddin.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Thank you so much for coming to the studio. Yes, we have these men here in the studio to really talk about what we need to talk today. But before we do that, I think we have a background. Let's take a look.
In recent times, certificate forgery has become a disturbing trend in various sectors of the society, from politics to education and corporate institutions. Individuals presenting fake academic or professional credentials to secure jobs or position of authority has not only undermined meritocracy but also led to the collapse of organizations due to appointment of unqualified personnel. These growing malpractices continue to threaten the credibility of institutions and raises critical questions about enforcement, accountability, and role of regulatory bodies in curbing it. Legally, certificate forgery is a criminal offense under Nigerian law. The Criminal Code, sections 465 to 467, applicable in the South, and the Penal Code, section 362 to 364, applicable in the North, stipulate that anyone involved risks up to 14 years in prison. Despite the law, people still engage in the dubious act. Join us as Midweek Connect takes a closer look at certificate forgery, its implications, legal consequences, and the urgent need for systemic reform.
Thank you so much, Rashida, for that report. Yes, we are looking at forgery in the Nigeria system, certificate saga. But let me start from with you, lecturer, sir. We are looking at certificate forgery when we say certificate is forged, because this particular one is like it's attributed to the university environment. What do you really mean?
Okay, forgery generally has to do with the act of creating, altering and imitating artworks, documents, and of course pictures, anything that has to do with creativity, with the intention of distorting the values and ensuring that the object being forged is seen as genuine, is seen as the real thing. And so we have different types of forgery. We have the artwork forgery, we have documents forgery, we have personality forgery, and of course we have currency forgery. I think I should add digital forgery to it, and as well as personality forgery,
Okay,
which is different from personal.
School academic forgery
so we are going down now to document forgery, which has to do with creating a false image of an authenticated document that is not real. So that means you are imitating something that ought to be real as if it is real, with the intention of deceiving people or defrauding them for personal gain. So a certificate that does not belong to you, that you claim belongs to you, is forgery. So that is what we mean when we talk about certificate forgery, trying to assume a certificate that does not belong to you and creating an imitation of a certificate that does not belong to you.
All right, Barrister Bello, you know that this thing happened since 2023. Yes, a particular media outfit took it up and said, we need to investigate. Something has been said about a man and all that and all that. Looking at it from that point, I believe you would have heard it, maybe you would have followed it looking at about it. What are you able to make of the whole situation? It started as an allegation, but now it's like the minister has finally, I don't know what would have prompted him to do what he has just done just this Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. You see, it is the same problem that we have in every sector that has also repeated itself, reared its ugly head here. We do not have a mechanism or a practice of punishing offenses. That is why things continue to happen. Since 2023, a person was alleged to have committed an offense. That is the truth. It's not a felony, not just an offense. It's a serious felony. 14 years imprisonment is the maximum you get there. That's to tell you how serious the law takes that offense. This man was alleged to have committed that offense since 2023. But he has remained in office since 2023, enjoyed the office for 2 more years before he now eventually, when the pressure now became too much, he now eventually stepped down yesterday. Now, looking at it, how is it that this ugly incident continues to occur every day? Because it's not just this man that has been alleged to have forged certificate. So many persons, young persons in our universities, in our different sectors, even some of them are working in the public sector. You see them parading fake certificates, fake documents. I have seen fake WAEC certificates. I have seen fake JSSC certificates. JSSC, yes. Somebody I know, he went from JSS, didn't do JSS3 with us, just came back and joined us in SS1 and continued. He presented a forged certificate. Then that's far back as almost 30 years back. Some people already started doing this thing. Even more than that, there were people who were forging a bank teller when we were paying our school fees then with I think it was 15 naira then. You pay it at UBA. So people will go to the bank, they will collect the teller, they will go outside, fill it, and forge stamp and put on top. That is as far back as almost 30 years ago. People were already doing this thing. So it's not something that happens just started yesterday. It is something that has been there, and we have allowed it. And just like our culture of impunity, where anything goes, at best, if they catch him, they just pat him at the back and say, "Get away from here," and the man goes. Nothing is done. If punishment, the Bible says it, if punishment is not given swiftly, the sons of men are wont to do evil. That is it, and that is what we are seeing in our society today. This is not the first minister or any person in government that will be alleged to have a forged certificate, and it will not be the last. Before INEC, so many of them presented that no one has got to prison for. And let us not forget that the law defining forgery, which my friend here, the lecturer, just also defined in a very wide scope now. That law says anytime a person presents a different document as the original to show as the authentic, anytime you present it intending for it to be used, once you present it anywhere, even at INEC, say I have a certificate from so university, and you do not have it, anytime you present any document to be the original, you have presented something planning or hoping and asking that it should be taken to be the original, you have forged that original. Or if you have the original, you now want to alter it, maybe you had a C, you now alter it to an A, you have also forged it. So anytime you present something you made a creation of the original, or even the original itself, you altered it, you have committed that offense. And when you commit an offense, it should be that punishment should follow. Even if you don't get the maximum 14 years, something should follow, so that the next person who is coming will not do a similar thing. I think that is where we should start looking at things from the punishment angle of it, that we have not been doing. We have a Ministry of Justice whose duty it is to checkmate things like this. We have the ICPC that is also very much empowered to checkmate things like this. As the man, I expected that after the man stepped aside yesterday, by this morning ICPC will invite him. They will now look into the matter properly, give us the feedback, not just look at it and keep it in their archive. No, give us the feedback. We have checked it. He forged or he didn't forge. If he forged, we have not charged him to court. He didn't forge. This is what we have now decided to do, so that people will learn. Others who were planning to do it will not do it. As we speak, people are still forging certificates that they are going to take to different universities today as we speak. It's not yesterday. Today as we are here now, people are doing it. It is that bad.
They are not going out in Nigeria. Yes, Professor Sir, let's look at it this way. In that 2023, he was screened. A lot of people begin to wonder, how was he able to escape the scrutiny of maybe the security operative that was at that time, and then the National Assembly, because he was cleared and given that particular appointment with this certificate that was alleged to be forged. How was he able to escape through? How would you now address this?
Well, you see, we are in a society where you don't get punished for committing a crime. You are only punished if you don't have the qualification to commit that crime. The qualification would mean that you have the peg for admission into the class of those who should commit the crime. And so the culture of impunity fructifies in the midst of those who have been normalized as those who can't commit the crime. You must therefore first seek acceptance into that circle. It was not just, words beyond their verbal quantification. They have a dimension that you must not overlook. Is in this country, somebody told you, it doesn't matter whether you had defecated, peculated state resources. For as long as you cross over to us, your sins are forgiven. That fellow is still serving today as a senator. He had served as the leader of his political party. And we saw that happen in real life. And you can now begin to appreciate why we are in the mess that we are, why nothing works. Because those who screened the DSS and all of those who were involved in the screening are the same persons who communicate to Mr. President what they think the state of issues are. So it will mean that whatever it is that they tell the president are mendacious. They don't tell the truth to Mr. President. So if they came and said, oh, absolutely no problem. There's no problem because they were looking at who is the sponsor. Who is sponsoring this person? Can we afford to offend this person? And so if you offend at your own peril, then you want to say, okay, let me keep my job. Remember that patriotism is not to the state, it is to the individual who is your appointor. This is the challenge that we have, because it's such a serious challenge, and it's not just starting now. When Salisu Buhari, for example, said he was born in 1963 as against in 1970 when he was born, he wasn't saying that all of those who were his mate had suffered collective amnesia. Now Salisu Buhari, pressure from society and civil whatever made him go to jail, but a fine was given. Whether he was convicted and do 2 days labor or whatever, his reputation has been dented. But you needed to see the celerity at which Obasanjo moved at granting state pardon and appointed him as a member of a governing council of a tertiary institution. So it is just the issue that you want to commit this offense, no problem. But before you commit it, first seek to be admitted. Otherwise, Mr. President has insulted our collective intelligence when he says, I accept the resignation of a felon. He should be with the police. It's not, he doesn't even have the opportunity of resigning, because that is a dignified whatever. You don't give him an opportunity to resign. He get cashiered if it is proven that that certificate was forged. Because even the university was dilly-dallying. The registrar said he was our student. The question we ask, if I want to confuse you, I come with plenty words. He was our student, but the records and whatever, who navigates through all this? He was not our student. We didn't issue this certificate. Whether he was your student or he was not your student is immaterial. The certificate he is parading, does that certificate emanate from your institution? No. Whether he was a student or not, immaterial. All of these were intended to palliate, to paper over cracks in order to mitigate the effect. And of course, that probably explains why he stayed longer than the time he stayed. But for the pressure that was consistent, he would not, he probably would have done the 4 years.
Yeah, but let's hope that something will come out of this whole process. Speaking with you, lecturer, sir, we know that, yes, this thing was, all these things were aligned in with the University of UNN in Nigeria here. And then the VC, is it 2nd of October, they had to come out to say, yes, he was a student, he was admitted in 1981 as a student, but we never issued a certificate to him telling him that you've graduated from this university. And even the NYSC equally said the same. Yes, so we don't have that kind of certificate, was not issued by us. And then we're going to ask you, the university system, what does it really mean to, does it mean that once you're in the system you can graduate? Tell us about the whole system of the university, linking it up to all this forgery and that has come up.
I think the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, incidentally also graduated from there, where he the whole issue. Yes.
But before you talk on that, please, you can call in and share in this conversation. The number to call is 0703-695-7086. 0703-695-7086. Please, you can continue.
Okay, so what they did was to actually find out, when Premium Times wrote and all that, they have to find out the authenticity, and in finding out they have to trace the records. So they actually did trace the record which they actually presented. You can see the logic with which they presented it, that of course he actually came to school but he never graduated. In fact, he failed a course, virology, a study of virus, or so, a course, and that is why he did not graduate. It was alleged that he did not graduate. So I saw it, the statement of the university and all that, and that is common among universities. If there is a letter trying to ask whether someone actually passed through the institution, you have to check the records, and it's not just coming to say he didn't pass through the institution or not. They must provide an information at their disposal to actually show that they have investigated the issue. And I think that is what the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, did. So they didn't do anything bad or anything that is essentially wrong. They created a very good scenario. And yes, we used to identify this student. We checked the records. He attended the university, but he never graduated. And because he never graduated, there's no way he would have been able to serve. And that is why he also forged, he alleged to have forged that NYSC certificate as well. So the university's system is interconnected, and you start from one process to another, you start from an office to another, and that gives makes the checkmating of the entire scenarios that happen in the university more authentic. So it's not just going to one registrar and asking the registrar. The registrar has no information without the department. So when that letter came to the vice chancellor or to the registrar, I don't know who the petition to.
Because even the media outreach said initially they had written to the registrar, yes, and he was reluctant to release particular information, that which made them now to go straight to the VC, and it's even the VC that released this information and all that. You are talking of interconnectivity.
No. That's what I was the editor of the Prime was on Chinese television yesterday, and I watched it live when he was trying to create the scenario. What actually happened was that when they wrote to the university, according to him, the university, you can't write to the vice chancellor and the vice chancellor will write back to you. There is a process. When you write to the vice chancellor, if you petition the registrar, whatever you petition, they must take it. They will minute on it and take it to the department, and they will take it to exams and record. They will take it to all the. In fact, it's going to pass through all the process. So and that is also the reason why it took some time, because they will minute on it and it will go to the next table. The next table will minute on it and it will go to exam and record. The exam and record will minute on it. It will go to the department. The department will check their records and they will say, no, this student. In fact, the final decision will also come from the department. Then exams and record. They will check all the records. So to be sure of what they are doing, so that there will not be room for litigation and anything that will come as a result of information that was not well presented. So I think the university did not do anything wrong.
Okay, so they followed due process.
Yes, due process.
The fact
yes.
that it took a longer time to come up with this fact since 2023. All right, let's stay with you, Barrister.
Yes.
This brings to mind the question: why would somebody yes, you have ambition to become something in the country, to be in a political position and hold office? Why would such people have the mind impetus to say, you know that your documents are not genuine, and then you just make up your mind, I want to be in office and all that, and you would go into office and all that without thinking of implication that one day what is not genuine can be spotted out and all that. What gives people this impetus?
Thank you very much. See, politics in Nigeria is very, very financially rewarding. It's one of the most lucrative business you can do in Nigeria. Politics in Nigeria, and what you should know is this: people who were dropped out from school, those who were dropped out when we were 100 level, we had some dropped out, 200, 300. As you progress in the levels, you always have dropouts for one reason or the other. These persons are not just going to fade into the wind. No, they would go out there to find something to do, and they're actually very desperate because they couldn't catch up with their mates at that level. They'll go somewhere else and find a place to catch up. And when they now find a fertile ground like the Nigerian system is a very fertile ground for crime. I've said it. I think I said it about 3 weeks ago on this your program here. It's a very fertile ground for crime because you don't punish crime here. So once they find such fertile ground, they run into it. And of course, what do they need? The law says, you need to be secondary school level or above. They want to also present that they are above secondary school level. They want to be able to argue with their mates when their mates are arguing. So they just go out there and buy or meet somebody who sells certificate. Don't forget, recently a journalist came out and said he did underground investigation, self-sponsored investigation that cost him about 2 million naira to buy certificates, because he heard that there were certificates were on sale in that university in Nigeria here, and he wanted to see if it was true. He gave the name of the school, the registrar, the VC, everything. He gave the background of the investigation. It took about 2 years. The amount of money it cost him to go through that investigation, he told us everything. He said he got the certificate, was given to him before he now came out to say, so this thing can actually happen, because people have been saying it. He had to go and look for it, and he found that it was true. The registrar of that institution was the person who was directly involved, because everything was passed through registrar. So the registrar ensured that his documents now went back, as if he started 4 years before. Meanwhile, he never went to that school. He just applied this year and got certificate this year, but they documented it backwards for 4 years, so that they can have something on record to rely upon when issues come up. That is how bad it is with our system. And this thing we are looking at here that we play with as if we just do it the way this man did yesterday. Now he has gone home now. Maybe this morning now he would have even jet out of the country to go and enjoy himself somewhere outside this country. These things we are doing, it is the image of the country that we are painting outside there to the entire world that is being battered. Because when you send any document outside this country today, they will send it for verification. The verification will go through one level after another level, as if the people who are in that country, they are not human beings. Because if, for heaven's sake, I present my document, it should be taken to be valid. I presented it. It should be taken anywhere to be valid. But any document you present in this country, anywhere, they will send it to Ministry of Foreign Affairs for verification. The school that presented it, that issued it in the first place, sometimes it comes to court for verification. So many verification just to ensure. But even with all this verification, so people still find a way to beat the system. That is how much criminality pays, crime pays. So the only way to ensure that whatever benefit they get from their crime, you punish them and you also take the benefit from them, then the next person will not want to go there. I'll give you an example. There was a judge at the Federal High Court here in Benin, Justice Tokode. He was appointed judge. He was here for about a year or two before somebody came out and said 2 of his judgments were forged. The judgments he presented at the NJC were not valid. They were forged. He altered them. And the agency went and looked at it and saw that yes, it was actually forged document. The man was asked to refund, not just his sent packet, he was asked to refund the money he collected as a judge, the salary he was paid for the period he was a judge. That punishment sent a message around the entire system that if you are going there with forged documents, you should prepare yourself, because a day is coming that one of your friends will print it out. People may not know, but somebody knows around you. You don't do this thing in isolation. One person must know. A day will come out, that person will print it out, and you will have to face the music. So if we make people to face the music, anytime you are caught, like this one's issue has now come up openly now. It's now a clear and almost established matter, even though, as we say in law, a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That is why I say, at the point where he is now, it is now for the law enforcement agencies like the ICPC, pick him up, let him go and sit with them, they start their investigation. He will write a statement. They will go to the school, get the registrar to also write a statement, get evidence here and there. Within a week, you can do this thing within a week. By next week, the man is in court to answer for whatever he did, so that people outside there will not see that we don't have bulk crime in this country. We don't cover crime. We don't enjoy it. We don't allow it here freely. Because if you allow this man go freely, the way it has happened now, or the way it seems is going to happen now, we are telling the world out there that no, don't worry. The next document that comes to you, reject it. It is forged. That's what we are telling the whole world.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, Professor Sir, we know that, like it has been raised before, that it's not what has happened. This is not the first time we've had situations of certificate forgery in Nigeria. We've had other people, but at the end of the day, you see that it seemed a situation that some walk away with that, and nothing seemed to have happened. And of course, when we are looking at this forgery, there are accessories to it. It's not just done. But at the end of the day, what do we hear of what has really encapsulated the entire forgery to come up and all that? So I ask you, what should be the tangible action this case has emerged? It is not just him. From the way he's seen it, it's true that the allegation is true, kind of, if we want to look at it that way. What should be the tangible action?
Well, we are not looking for what should be done. We know what to be done.
Yes, exactly.
It is whether the will to do that is available with those who should be doing it. The spokesperson for Mr. President said the president had wished him well, as if he did a noble job. Because we are communicating the kind of values we want our children to imbibe. He is a fraud if what was said is true. And I can tell you for free that he would not even have been resigning if he was sure. Before this resignation, he had said the governor of his state is the one fighting
because
him.
Yes, if as reported, I'll let you add it today. He said it's a political blackmail.
Yes.
They want to really go after him and all that. But this is what has happened. He has resigned.
So
what
if he is saying, we could look for all excuses. If I were found where I ought not to be found, I raped a 10-year-old child, and I say, oh, it's you in NTA that is carrying this. The issue is not who is carrying it. Did I rape a 10-year-old child? Should I have done it? Regardless of how much the governor wants to blackmail you, if there are no issues to blackmail you with, he won't do that. The university is saying, we didn't give you this certificate. You have a right of reply. No, you gave it to me. NYC is saying, we didn't give this to you. Then you should be able to say, they gave to me. The role of the governor in this matter, assuming is involved, is inconsequential, absolutely immaterial. Deal with the issues that are on ground. Do not begin to look for alibis that make no sense. But like we have said, if Mr. President is saying, okay, you can go, he has incentivized criminality. And the oath of office he swore to was to do justice to all manners of persons, no fear, no favor. The resources that he was paid, he needed to refund. He's in science, he's in innovation. And only recently, they were outside of this country in UK saying we were showcasing this and all that, when we ordinarily do, when you don't have image. When the university is graduating you, what comes first is that you are found worthy in character before learning. Because learning pays into insignificance if you do not have character. So when a man is pathologically lean in integrity, like is in the case of Unaji, what is left with that man? And so if you have a president who had who swam in putridity with that man, because that is what he's implying now, if he says go, so you are just unlucky that they caught you, it will mean all the while he knew he was dealing with a very contaminated human being. If you are, it's clear. So why would we have anybody in prison for exam malpractice? We have students who cheated. Somebody had said I scored X mark in JAMB. The registrar of JAMB said, no, you didn't score the marks. And the whole world was against him, and he stood his ground. Regardless of the avalanche of blackmail that were coming in his direction, Professor Lodge said, I know what I'm talking about. This lady is a fraud. And it was established that he was a fraud. Although they didn't need to resign, didn't need to bend, because he knew if Mr. President is a stickler for justice, Unaji should be with the police. He does not have the opportunity of resigning. Once the police establishes the fact that there was a prima facie whatever that is a fraud, he is dismissed. Because to resign would mean that he is available another time for another job. He can't resign. He's carrying whatever. But like I said, there is a pattern. Salisu Buhari said later, after all the braggadocious whatever, oh yes, I actually cheated, this is my true age. And Obasanjo was in a hurry, for reasons we are yet to know, to grant him pardon. And Jonathan came and said the pardon wasn't enough. Go to a governing, be a member of a governing council or whatever. And so all of those things are the things that made them happen. And so you find the forgeries everywhere. You come to our institutions of learning, including those who are academic, non-academic, whatever. You want to borrow into the certificate people are carrying. Quite a number of them are not genuine. I think those are the things you are flying here.
This brings to issues that they need to be. We need to really look into selection processes, how people go into power, how people are coming to office, and all that. Because it starts from the. Because if there is so much scrutiny, yes, we know there are fake certificates in town, but this scrutiny is done so well by authorities concerned. I think something good. So, as the way of your closing thought, because you are pressed for time, what would you summarize about forgery in Nigeria as far as certificate is concerned, and what should be done? What are your closing thoughts?
Okay, I think that institutions should be strengthened. They should be given the opportunity to authenticate documents properly by providing digital platforms for verifications. We most of the reasons why we have these delays is that we still use papers. We talk about the one of UNN just now. It's just a punch of button and something will pop up. So institutions should be strengthened so that these things will not be there. And of course, we should report cases of forgery. This case was reported by a whistleblower. The whistleblower called Prime Times and told Prime Times, please investigate this person. And Prime Time started the investigation, and the media too should also live up to their responsibility. In fact, this is the first celebrated investigative journalism encounter in recent times that we are going to be using in the classroom as illustration.
Thank you so much. First for time, Pastor Bello, your closing thoughts on what you have.
Yes, I want to say that I don't think the security agencies are handicapped in doing their screening. They do this screening. I want to believe that it is at the point of submitting the screening, because when after the screening is done, you have to send it to your boss to put a finishing touch before it is sent out. I believe at that point that is where it is altered, because if you go through DSS screening, security screening, you will see that they go as far as asking you questions concerning your primary school. Some of the things you've forgotten, if you will see them, they will raise it up from your background. Don't know where they get those information. They will get all the information as far back as your childhood. They'll ask you those questions. Then, if they can ask all these questions and get the answers, we still now wonder how these people escape. Except that I want to believe that, like the prof said, when you are in the level to commit that offense, if you commit it, somebody will cover it up. That's one. Then on the second ambit of it, we should learn to punish even at the university level. At 300 level, we were all asked to submit our certificate a second time. We submitted our certificate a second time, and almost a third of our classmates were dropped at that level because they were told that their certificates were forged. At that level, a third. Nobody went to prison. So I think at that stage we should also learn to punish even at the university level. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. As a closing thought.
The issue is the president should demonstrate that the hope agenda that he says he has. We cannot have hope when those in positions of leadership are lean in integrity. Unaji should be used as an example that we are ready to deal with whatever is evil that we find amongst us.
Thank you so much. Yes, I so much appreciate our guests this morning for coming to the studio to share their thoughts on this certificate saga in Nigeria for you and all the rest. And of course, they've said so many things on what should be done the way forward. Whatever is seen as offenses should be punished according to law, and institutions should be built strongly so that all these things we have in the country, we should be able to move ahead, knowing that Nigeria is a country that all of us belong to. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us on this program. We're going to have you next week with another interesting topic. Until then, do have a wonderful time. Good morning.